It's really easy to enter flowers at the fair. You don't really have to have a green thumb to do it, and it's a good chance you may win some ribbons as long as you know a few tips about the proper care of cut flowers. One of the first things you want to do is cut early in the morning when the plants are hydrated, they have plenty of water in them. If it hasn't rained, if they are dry, you can't cut in the morning. You want to make sure you water them real well and then leave them a few hours so they can get that water up in the plant so they're nice and turgid. Then you want to cut them at the right stage. If you cut them too far along, they'll be faded when they come in. And one of the things that we judges look for is if a flower is kind of unusual and maybe the only one, we cut a little more slack. Where there's something that's real common like zinnias or sunflowers, tend to be a little bit more picky. And here's a good example of a sunflower that's not quite as uniform. It's still very beautiful. It's kind of a different color, but you see all the stamens, the little flower parts aren't quite open here, whereas the one right over next to it here is almost perfectly uniform all the way around. That, I think, would be a blue ribbon winner right there. So the stage of cutting, making sure they're nice and uniform, is one of the key things. Of course, when you cut, you want to get them right in water. Even better is flower preservative. If you can get some at a local florist, they have little packets, very inexpensive. That really will help keep the flowers a lot longer. Put them in cool as soon as you can. If it's not in shade, a cool part of the house, just get them out of the sun. They'll last a lot longer and won't wilt that way. One of the things you definitely don't want to do, and most people are pretty good about this, but is keep those leaves out of the water. Those will rot, organisms will form that'll clog those vessels of the plant. And here's an example of one that's almost on the edge here. This is a marigold. And you can see the leaves here. Some of the leaves are in the water. Be better to take those off, especially if the leaves are bad, and that's one of the things we're looking for. Some of the plants will have leaves, like the big blooms, like the sunflowers. Some people have taken them off, so if there's a problem, we can't see it, we can't judge it. But if the leaves are on and there's some insect chewing or damage, well, we have to look at that, and that can detract. Even though the flower may be perfect, we really look for insect disease damage. So keep the leaves out of the water. That's one of the real big things. If you don't remember too much else, that's one of the real big ones. Now, if we walk down here, there's a couple of other things we need to show you about how to pick these flowers. Of course, as I mentioned, picking at the right stage is very important. Here are some cone flowers, and if you, these are the typical purple ones. There are just many out there. A lot of times, if you have any of the more unusual ones, there are just so many colors of these. Bring some of those in. Those are really bound to do pretty well. But you can see here some different stages. These are picked pretty well with a traditional purple cone flowers. The petals kind of go out. When they get older, they kind of drop down, or reflex as it's called. And then, of course, this one here, these were maybe out of water too long. They really just totally wilted. They never revived. So that's a real problem, and obviously that probably won't get a ribbon. It's too bad, because otherwise they would have been nice flowers. And then right next to it is another good stage of a couple of, not only the flowers, but a couple things. These are hosta flowers, a plant that's not usually grown for flowers. But you see this one, very nice stage of opening, just some of the first flowers starting to open, a lot of good buds. The one next to it, pretty much gone by, some of the last flowers opening. So this is not nearly as good as this one. The other thing to watch for is read the directions. It calls for one stem. These have one stem. This one has two stems. Somebody didn't read the directions, so unfortunately that one will probably be disqualified, because you can't really compare two stems to one stem. So if nothing else, to make sure you follow the directions. So once you have the cut flowers, you brought them in, they're in good shape. You can also arrange with them. Let's go take a look at some good examples of arrangements. So once you have the flowers, you can arrange them. Now, you can be real elaborate, it can be very simple. There are many examples of both. It can be very creative, like someone has done here. They've taken, using all kinds of containers, they've taken looks like a wire bicycle, covered it with moss, and wrapped it with the sphagnum moss, and used the coneflower heads off of coneflower. So think of all the plant parts you might use here, the bicycle. They've carried that forward through in the arrangement, so nice continuity there. Great colors, the orange, cosmos and some marigolds against, and rudbeckia in the middle there, against this nice green moss bed. Unfortunately, we're talking freshness later. Some of these cosmos are real tough sometimes to keep fresh. They've gone by, so that really detracts a bit. Also, I might like to see it just a little bit higher. It seems kind of squat. One of the good things, though, and one of the main things you want to do, though, is cover the foam. Usually you put these in florist foam, which is something you get at a florist. It absorbs lots of water. That's what they use for cut flowers. That's what you use. But make sure that's covered up. That's one of the things we look for as judges, not to see any of the stuff that we shouldn't see, if you will, like the foam. They've done that with the sedum here. Just very nice. So in moving over, a very different type of arrangement here, just a vase, a beautiful blue vase with some nice contrasting colors in it, kind of a fall arrangement, could be shades of one color. They have turtle head, they have Joe Pye, they have some hydrangeas, which even though they're fading, may not be great necessarily over as a cut flower, but in this arrangement, it really, that pink picks up with these colors, works well. And having a nice balance going around, so you have things coming out all around, you don't have all one flower on this side and all of one on there. You have it evenly spaced. Start with some of the big flowers and then fill in with some of the smaller ones. Some great grasses here for texture, and the sea oats. One of the things, and some nice of the purple, something different, you don't see often the leaves of the purple bugbane, Semicifuga, but unfortunately again the freshness, some of these have gone by right in the front, so that's going to detract a little bit, but still overall very nice arrangement. Now, there are many different types of arrangements you can do in classes. You can find those in the handbook. Miniatures are one of my favorite. They're just so lovely. Some are just so small. And I love this one with the little white Queen Anne's lace and little blue flowers. It goes with the blue and the white there on the cup. Just a lovely little thing. This is a little bit larger and more open. This lovely little swan. That's a very nice one, I think, with the ageranum in it. This one is lovely in its sense, but it's kind of like a pincushion. It's really short. It needs to be in proportion, any of these arrangements, to the container. This one's pretty big, and the flowers should probably be, again, you know, half or twice as high to have a little bit more proportion. But again, as with the cut flowers, read the directions. If it says 3 inches high, you want to make sure they're 3 inches high. So we actually use a tape measure on some of these just to make sure they follow the directions.
Leonard and I have been judging for about 19 years now, and some of the things I'm looking for in an arrangement as a judge, I'll start with this one here in a clear glass container with water. First and foremost, I'm looking for quality of the flower. I want to see blemish-free, no insect damage, nice, cut at just the right time. Secondly, I don't want to see any foliage in the water. It has to be clean. That way the arrangement lasts longer and it looks a lot nicer. This is really a really nice example of what we're looking for. The composition is beautiful. There's a proportion with the container. You look at how big the container is, how tall the arrangement. Some of these are placed deep in for nice depth. It draws your eye in. Nice colors. This one is actually, the category was shades of one color, and this is executed beautifully. This up here, I think it's a harvest category, and it's absolutely, again, just lovely. The arrangement complements the container perfectly. If you look closely, she or he has some incredible elements in here with the caps of the acorn, just adds a lot of interest and texture, and the colors are just lovely and really evokes a fall arrangement. These are two examples of some really nice entries that we've gotten. A lot of times people come in and they wonder why they didn't get a blue. And the comments we try to be really constructive. Here's what we were looking for, here's maybe what was missing. That the flowers were wilted when we saw them, and that's kind of tough. We just can't give a blue with wilted flowers. So we're trying to educate people so that they know what we're looking for and what anybody would be looking for in a good arrangement. And actually, over the years, I've seen the quality really creep up, and I hope that maybe that was had something to do with our comments, but the quality has just been exceptional at the fair. Some of these could be professional arrangements. They're lovely, really, really nice. Yeah, perfect. This is a blue.
That
okay,
is.
Carol?
Yeah, I agree. So, as you can see, it's really pretty easy to enter flowers in the fair, whether it be arrangements or cut flowers. Just make sure you follow the directions. They can be found in the handbook, which you can get from the fair. You can get it online. If you have any questions, just call the number of the superintendent there. Now, Patti and I got a lot more to judge here. Okay, Patti, what about this one? That looks beautiful.
That's
blue.
Loved it. Isn't that gorgeous?
That is.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that one.
Maybe like Sid, just a tad higher, but it's...
I'm okay.
I'm okay.